All right, well, let's kick things off talking about the Mavericks and the Pistons. And Alex, you have a play in this game, and it's for the Pistons to cover, which they've been doing great as of late. They're 8.5-point dogs on the road. Total in this game is 218.5. So, Alex, tell me why you like the Pistons to cover tonight.
Not only are the Pistons covering, they're winning games for some reason. You would think that, again, they're still the bottom three record, which gives them the same amount of ping pong balls as everybody else. But with Oklahoma City barreling closer and closer every day, you think maybe they'd have punted the Oklahoma City game at least the other day. I mean, it's going to be very interesting in Detroit if they end up at the fourth spot in the lottery instead of, in the top three lottery odds. But it's fun to watch a young team that cares. They're playing really good basketball. They're starting to gel a little bit. I think maybe the value of some of those veterans that from a basketball perspective don't make a ton of sense have kind of helped get some of these younger guys through the season. You look at the spot for Dallas here. It's the last game of a road trip before going home to kind of play Portland and San Antonio to kind of finish out the season here. A lot of games for them recently, a lot of close games. The win over the Bucks being their most recent victory there. Just a huge letdown spot for Dallas altogether. And Detroit playing some nice basketball. So I have this well within the number. Honestly, I had it closer to 5 or 6. So happy to take the 8.5.
You mentioned that the Pistons aren't just covering, but they're winning. They've won their last 3. It matches their longest winning streak of the season. Josh, do you also like the Pistons tonight? What do you think on taking them to cover?
Yeah, I can't really get to this number. I got in at 9.5. I think even 8.5 is still rich. I sort of come between 7.5 here. Basically just going to regurgitate a lot of what Alex said in that it's just a bad spot for Dallas, the tail end of this East Coast road trip, off of a big win, a couple of games at home against Portland, San Antonio to finish things off. So, they're also in this position where I think they're going to settle into the 4 seed. For them to get to the 3 seed, they need some favors, to go their way. Golden State to drop a game, which is possible, I guess, given that they still have San Antonio and New Orleans on deck, and those two, aren't necessarily locked into their spots either, and both will want to secure home court for that first round of the play-in. So I think, Dallas probably eke out a win here. It's just not going to be particularly convincing. The Pistons will do enough to hang around. They get Cade Cunningham back tonight, which is obviously a big plus for them. And helps them immensely at both ends of the floor. I still think he's a pretty underrated defender for them as well on the perimeter, given his size and length there. So, I think there's a realistic world where Detroit comes out and probably leads for, a majority of this game before eventually, the Mavs are able to sort of click in the second half, turn their defense up a notch and ultimately get the job done. But, when it comes to the points, this is just too many, I think, for Detroit to be catching at home in a situation and spot like this for Dallas.
Pistons are also resting Jeremy Grant, Kelly Olynyk, Marvin Bagley, and Corey Joseph tonight. So some of their better players, but I don't think that really matters in this case because then you have some younger players that step in, and this is their time. This is when they get those extra minutes, and so they want to come out and play harder and kind of show what they can do. So I like your guys' play. Pistons plus 8.5 to cover over the Mavs tonight.